You're listening to the Eclectrocast's podcast. This is podcast number 28, featuring music and conversation with New York-based musician Peter Tassio, who records under the name CultureTrust. We caught up with Peter to discuss his new CultureTrust album, Spill, to be released in September 2016. Hey, welcome everybody to another installment of Eclectrocast. This is Jeff. We're very happy to have Pete here from CultureTrust. Hello, Pete. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. Nice to be here.
Great. We're really happy to have you here, Pete.
Excited.
It's funny because we have been Case and I have been trying to navigate through a list of artists we've wanted to have on Eclectrocast, plus other people who want to be on the show as well. So we kind of balance both of that, especially with people who are having new releases. We like to get them in as soon as we can to help them promote their new releases. And that's actually the case with you too. So we're really happy to have you because you have a release coming up. We're going to hear some exclusive tracks that nobody has ever heard anywhere yet from the new CultureTrust album.
Yeah.
And that we're really excited to do it. So Pete, how are you feeling? How's the music making going?
Oh, the music making's pretty good. I think it just took me a long time to write this album, but I'm really happy with the way it came out. So I'm happy that it's done. I'm happy that it's going to be out there soon. And I'm looking forward to writing the next one, as is often the case.
Yeah.
Yes, that is.
So the name of your album is Spill.
Yes.
So what are you spilling?
Honestly, I just feel like my life is kind of spilling all over the place. I feel like I myself am kind of spilling through life, I guess. Yeah. I
think a lot of us feel that too.
Yeah.
But now this is different, Peter, because your prior album you did in 2014, you gave yourself a goal. I remember reading about this, and actually, when it was done, you had alerted me and a bunch of others that it was finished. You gave yourself a goal to record a track a month throughout 2014, and then you released that album. This is different, obviously. So, what did you learn about recording a track a month, and did you decide to do anything differently in the, I don't know, I guess kind of in the writing and recording stage with this new album, Spill?
Yeah. I think for what I learned for me is it's probably best for me to work on one song at a time, because when I did one track a month, I think my workflow was just tighter. And I learned that there's a lot of fat on my songs that I need to cut away. I think I'm still learning that. And because writing this new album, Spill, I think I would write a little bit on this song and then take some time away and write a bit on another song and take some time away. And I wanted to try that, but for me, I think that didn't work as well, right? Just composing wise. And then the whole thing about writing a song a month was like, just spend an hour a day doing something you really want to do. And so I was like, I really want to write songs. So I would spend, on average, an hour a day. And then, I thought to myself, 30 hours should equal a song. So that's where that was. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there are some people that make songs in an hour.
Sure. Exactly.
And they tweak the knobs and, they slice and dice and they're done in an hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's all it needs. We find that that's all it needs. And Peter, you're talking about being very editorial or needing to be editorial. But, sometimes I can wring the life out of a song the more I work on it. But sometimes the essence of what you needed was captured within the first couple hours, and that's it,
Yep. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Well, so then it is like, to know when to walk away, right?
Yeah.
Know when to run.
Yeah.
Yes. Know when to fold them.
Yeah.
Pete, how did you get started in music? How long have you been playing, writing? Did you play any instruments growing up? Things. What's your musical background?
Oh, here's a fun fact. I performed my first song in public 20 years ago. Yeah. And I realized, I think it was in May 20 years ago. Or maybe June, but it was at the talent show of my middle school. So I guess I've been doing this for about 20 years. And I was about 12 years old, and my dad plays guitar. He plays mostly folk guitar now, but he played classical guitar too as a hobby. So I was like, oh, that looks good. I think I could do that. So yeah, I started playing. And then when I was 14, I wrote my first song. And then when I was 15, I had my first band, and I'm still in touch with a lot of those people, and we still make music together. And I actually went to school for music. I went to City College for my bachelor's degree in jazz guitar, and then I did my master's in jazz guitar at NYU.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
That's my alma mater, NYU.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
That's my alma mater, NYU.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did you study there?
Well, I got my PhD there.
Yeah, I had a great time there. I learned a ton. I think it's a good school, yeah.
Did you study with anybody notable at NYU?
I studied with Wayne Krantz. Familiar with him?
Sure.
Yeah, he's great. I studied with a drummer named Tony Moreno.
Not familiar.
That was great. And I got to take a class with Jean-Michel Pilk and Andy Milne. And those really stand out for me.
So in my notes to you, I wrote that, and I had no idea about your very deep background in jazz and jazz guitar. And I don't know if you know, but Jeff is a guitar player. I'm a guitar player.
Yes.
So we're among friends here.
Yeah.
But I throughout the 4 tracks that you send us, and particularly in your voice, I really, it has so much jazz in your voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very.
That's cool.
Because you don't sing straight on the chords. You weave around it, or sometimes even counter. And I don't mean to say that you sing out of tune. Far from it. You're an amazing. Well, I wouldn't say so. You're an amazing singer, but you find these interesting tonal moments with your voice. So, can you talk a little bit about how you developed your singing? When did you realize, like, hey, I can sing?
Oh, well, it was 20 years ago, actually, when there was this talent show at my school. One of my friends said, oh, will you sing and I'll play guitar? So this is going to be really embarrassing, but we performed a song by Bush called Glycerine. And then I got to play my own song after that. But yeah, it was that. And so I was like, yeah, let's do that. So I started practicing the song and singing along with it. And for me, that phrase, find your voice. People say it for no matter what you do. So I really think when you're singing, you should just find your voice. Like, don't compare yourself to somebody else. Don't try to be something. Just sing what you want to sing. You're not going to be able to do everything you want to do. You're not going to sound like your favorite singer, but you're gonna be able to be yourself. So for me, singing is very much just trying to be as natural as possible. And I do push myself to try new things, but I never push myself that hard because I think that you really lose like the essence of your talent singing wise when you do that.
And yourself, like the expression of yourself in your voice.
Yeah.
So who are your favorite singers? Who do you listen to?
Well, Tom York is definitely one of my favorite singers. And Nick Drake, I think, was great. Kurt Cobain. Who else? Like Nina Simone, jazz, great. great singer. Astrid Gilberto, great singer. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then have you listened to Bebel Gilberto? She is the daughter of another Gilberto. I forget.
Yeah.
She's her, you know, I mean, a lot of the Brazilian singers are very jazzy.
Yeah. And I like that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, I'm sorry, Pete. Yeah, when in the early to mid '60s, they found they could make some money with it. So Joe Beam, Joe Beam and Astrid Gilberto and Stan Getz, who came in from nowhere, and it kind of actually almost kind of stole the Saudades, kind of Brazilian heartbreak songs, and then made them popular, I guess, or helped make them popular.
Yeah. Yeah, I like all that stuff, for sure.
So one of the singers that I really like, a musician and singer-composer, is David Sylvan. Are you familiar with David Sylvan?
No.
Okay.
I'm not. Yeah.
Dave Sylvan used to run the band Japan back in the early 80s. It was kind of new wave, kind of post-punk.
Yeah, I got to check that out.
But his own work is very different. It's actually... singing wise, even you sing in a somewhat higher register than Dave Sylvan, but your afflictions in your voice are very similar, I find, and also the richness of your texts. And I like in a little bit, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your lyric writing, your text writing, but the track in which I found very clear jazzy tones and jazz feel to your singing is in the title track of your album, Spill.
Yeah.
So, and you use a Fender Rhodes sound. How do you record? Do you record with instruments? Do you record with soft instruments, like apps or plugins?
Yeah. For this, everything is plug-in. It's just Logic Pro.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just try to, mess them up a little bit. Yeah.
That's the fun of that, right?
Yeah.
But the Fender Rhodes or the Rhodes kind of chords are very important in that track, and they do give you the opportunity for this jazzy intonation. So
that's cool.
So is this a conscious choice, or as you are composing, you go like, wow, that sounds kind of good with it, and it sort of happens in the moment? What's your process there?
Yeah, usually it's like writing the music first, and then singing over it. And those chords, I just wanted to write just like really dense sounds. So I was just kind of trying to grab like whatever sounded good at the moment, as long as it had like a dense kind of feel to it. Yeah,
because the on the Rhodes sound, you use almost like a single tone that just keeps sounding through everything. Like the like the one note samba, right? But
yeah.
So was that something? I mean, I found that a very clever hook, because it sort of made my musical ear or my musical mind hook in, this note just through everything, this one note.
I think that may have been like a happy accident, because, when you're stacking up like 10 notes at a time or whatever it is.
But that's what we like to do in the jazz, right? We like to weave all these chords around one tonal piece, right? One tonal element.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's the essence of voice leading. When you're voice leading, you're taking common elements and just shifting little notes going up or down and kind of moving the harmony that way. Why don't we hear Spill? Do you want to hear Spill?
Yeah.
This is the title track from the new CultureTrust album. Peter, I think we can look forward to this towards the end of the summer, right?
Yeah.
The new CultureTrust album?
Yeah.
Good. This is called Spill, the title track here on Eclectrocasts.
So Peter, you live near New York City. How does your music relate to where you live? You know, New York City has this aura. When friends from Holland come over to visit me, I can't keep them from going to New York City. I said, you know, it's just a dirty, loud place. No, they always want to go. So anyway, so what is it about where you live, and how does that reflect in your music? And like the song Spill we just listened to, I think has a lot of the city or city life in it.
Yeah. Well, that song in particular, I take the train into the city a lot. So once I was walking back to Grand Central, and then I looked up at Grand Central, and there's the clock tower on top of it. And then I felt myself like, you know, I feel like a little pinball just bouncing around all the time and spilling around all the time. And that was what like really set it off for the lyrics for that song. But for me, I think a lot of just like the sound of the trains, like the subway, the train that I take into the city, I think a lot of that stuff is kind of coming out in the music on this album. I think so. Because this album is a little noisier than things I've done beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah, I use a lot of guitar-like sounds.
Right.
A lot of kind of distorted guitar-like sound, chopped guitar type sounds, kind of in the background. Yeah,
not in your face, but a nice element.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd love to hear a little bit about your text writing, your lyric writing. So it sounds like a lot of things you write about come from your life. Should we take your lyrics literal, or should we think of them as metaphors?
I hope that when people hear the lyrics, they can make them their own. Yeah. For me, like, I know what I'm writing about, but I hope that people get something else out of it, you know, something that relates to their life. Yeah.
Well, you know, in Wrapping Arms, your last bit in the lyrics goes as follows: "Don't forget where you're from. That's where we'll meet after the fall. Don't forget when you fall. That's where we are from."
Yeah. What does
that mean? Yeah, I found it very intriguing. And this is a piece of text that repeats throughout Wrapping Arms. So in many of your lyrics, there seems to be almost a contrast, like being in control and never being in control. To be together, to be separate, right? To be together or to be alone. It is these contrasting things that belong together, right? Dialectics, if you will.
No, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, like there's only a few things people write about, and for me, definitely something is being in control, not being in control. For sure. That's for sure. Having something, but not having it. And that lyric in particular is just like, you know, go out into the world. You're not really going to change. You know, you can go to whatever school you want, get whatever job you want, but I know who you are. You're still the same person. And I really think that that is true. And just the fall, that's like, yeah, no matter how good your life is, you're going to get hit by life, you know? And it's going to take you down and humble you, and you're going to need the people that you trust and care about, you know? And so that lyric is that. Yeah.
And it's easy to get wrapped up in life, isn't it? And not ignore, but just make it harder to find time for those people that are in our lives.
Right.
And I found that as, probably you guys have too, that, and that's actually something I've written about too,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so besides that, I think there's another sort of a theme is like, how can you be certain about something? How can you know things for sure? And I'm not talking about knowing the truth, but, to know what you know in your life, how certain is that?
That's a good point. I was thinking about that today. I was like, the more I learn about music, the less I know. And now I'm learning computer programming, and I'm just feeling the same way. I'm like, oh, you can learn a bunch of stuff, but there's always all these other questions and mysteries going on. So I think that's a little literal compared to what you were saying, but I do feel that, like, yeah, what is certain?
Yes.
Who knows?
Well, and in the track Forever, I think that is a lot about the uncertainty of existence, right? And particularly past, present, and future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And so this idea of, like, we all have existential questions, and you don't have to be 4 years old to have an existential question. I think we carry those with us through life.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, Forever and Wrapping Arms were both very strong lyrics about you can't always be in control, but you strive to it. You can't always be certain, but you'd like to be. Right?
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, Forever was I used to meditate a lot. I don't really do that anymore. But that song is like about that experience where you're like going somewhere, but you're nowhere. You're like, you're trying to achieve something, but it doesn't, not that it doesn't matter, but like, it's not really going to give you the thing that you want. Just like thinking about those concepts.
Right. So you set out on a path, but you may not end at your imagined destination, but you do end up somewhere.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Why don't we take a listen to Forever?
Let's. Right now. Awesome.
Yeah. Again, we are here with Pete from CultureTrust. Pete's got a new album coming out at the end of the summer here, 2016. The album's called Spill, and this is a track from that album. This is called Forever here on Eclectrocasts.
Everything I've asked for.
So in Forever, Pete, you have like, it's like a lot of orchestration. It's like an orchestral piece almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it adds a lot of emotional depth to, besides your singing. So why because most of your pieces are sort of, synthesizer driven, almost harking back to the 80s and the 90s a little bit. But Forever has a very orchestral feel to it. Like a lot of, there's a lot of layers and a lot of orchestration.
Yeah.
So is that one of the tracks that you have to cut away some of the fat, or,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did. I did have to cut away a lot of stuff.
Take us through that, if you would.
Okay. I think that song started, I had like one piano line that I liked. And so I took that and then I layered it a couple times, but every time I would just move it over like an eighth note. So it's like the one thing happening, but each little layer is just shifted a bit. So that gave it like a little orchestral sound.
Open it up, yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember. I mean, it's like kind of long ago. I finished that song kind of long ago, so I don't remember exactly. But yeah, there was like a ton of stuff going on that I had to get rid of. And I had to like cut out a whole section, I think, for that song. Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do to keep your voice so clear in the track, in all of your tracks? And by the way, I listen to your music all the time when I do long drives. It's a great, a great companion.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad.
So how do you keep your voice so clear in the mix? Because that's difficult.
Yeah, one thing I do is, so I'll record the vocal that I want, and then I'll double it on another track. But the doubled vocal will be turned down significantly, so you'll still have the main vocal up at a normal level, and then you'll have this double turned down, and then the panning will be significantly different. So I think that helps keep them clear. So you've got like a little, like you'll have a little bit of the voice maybe at, 7 o'clock or so, and left earbud, and then the main voice in the right earbud. I think
right. So you don't have the voice sit in the middle. Yeah.
Right,
because that's where all the mud happens.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people do the guitars too.
Yep.
They'll double or triple track guitars and just throw them all, identical takes all over the.
I just recently had a track for Lunar Donut, and I had 3 guitar tracks on it, and I had first put them all in the middle, and I hated it. And then at first I couldn't figure out what's going on, and then I panned them differently, and it just brought clarity in the whole thing. Yeah. What a wonderful trick.
That helps. Pete, one thing I noticed about these songs from your new album, as opposed to, or as in contrast with the songs from your album in 2014, is that you seem to use a lot of the drum sounds you're using now are they sound very lo-fi, 8-bit almost kind of drum kit sounds where, it's almost like, how Boards of Canada use a really, kind of cool sort of drum sound. They'll take an 80s drum sound and throw it into what they're doing now. Was that a conscious choice? Were you really trying to go lo-fi with the drum and percussion picture here on these new tracks?
That wasn't really a conscious choice, no. That's just kind of what happened. Yeah, for me, I guess I was just trying to find whatever like sound was inspiring. And so that's how I would go about picking those. Yeah.
They fit the tracks perfectly.
Oh, thanks.
They work with that, as you said, a lot of these new tracks are a little noisier than before, and it definitely works. Yeah.
Great.
Peter, so what can you tell us about Traveling, another song from your upcoming album, Spill?
Yeah, that song is about like missing someone that you care about a lot, but they're on their own trip. And even though you miss them, you know, they're just concerned with their voyage through life, and you know, you want to be in touch with them, but you can't. You want to talk to them, but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're in their element by doing that. They're kind of in their element, and they're kind of, it's not that they don't think about you. It's just that they're being who they feel they're meant to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
They are in their element. Yeah. They're living the life they want to live, for sure.
Right.
But it's,
right.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Tennessee Williams, you know, the Glass Menagerie, where the man, the telephone man who fell in love with long distances, you know. Kind of a.
But it's also about that you on the, you know, you, the one related to the one doing the traveling, all you can do is wait and hope for a contact, for being reached out to.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
Any particular reason that song ends abruptly, Peter?
Oh, I didn't think it ends abruptly, but I guess it does. And I kind of like what you wrote to me. You're like, are you there yet?
Yeah, right.
I like
but it's
that.
about somebody else traveling.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I think just from a musical standpoint, I wanted it to be tight, you know, and I was like, oh man, we're past the 5-minute mark, you know, time to wrap this up.
I gotcha.
But
yeah, sometimes I do that too. I'm like, all right. Is this going to go on? How much longer is this going to go on?
Yeah.
But I, you know, it struck me about the 4 tracks that you send us that the beginnings and the endings of your songs are very important. In the beginning, you lay down the main theme of the song almost immediately. You know, it is, you don't do like a prelude, but you know, so for example, in traveling, it begins with a lo-fi pad, I believe it is, right?
Yeah.
And it sets the tone of the whole track, and the lo-fi pad doesn't disappear. It is layered throughout the whole thing. And you do that with all of your, or the 4 that we have listened to, I have to say. Is this like a compositional thing that interested you? Does this come out of your jazz experience where, you know, in the opening of a song, we generally lay down the theme and then, you know, it reverberates in all the other parts?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely trying to do that. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to make everything somewhat connected, like especially the lyrics too. I really try to make my lyrics connect throughout the song, you know. But yeah, and I don't know if this is what you're referring to as well, but I'm, like I said before, I'm trying to tighten things up and like cut to the chase as quick as possible. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I probably did want to write like a longer intro. No, I did for that song, now that I'm thinking about it. But I cut it out, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and tried to just get to it. Yeah.
But, you know, like Wrapping Arms, Traveling also is a track that begins very clearly with a theme, and then it just keeps building and building and building. So you're constantly charging up the emotion in your music. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely trying to do that for sure. Like have some sort of payoff, hopefully, you know?
Hey, let's listen to Traveling. I think.
Yeah. Okay. This is another track from the new CultureTrust album, world premiere. Really, nobody else has heard these, but us, Case and I. Thank you, Peter. Are so honored that we are the first people to hear these.
Thank you. Yeah.
And when this is released, then others will be. So that's good. It's a good preview for your new album. This is called Traveling from the new album by CultureTrust, upcoming album by CultureTrust here on Eclectrocast. So, Peter, what are you listening to these days?
Oh, well, listening to the new Radiohead album.
Mm-hmm. I haven't picked it up yet. I was just listening to an old Radiohead album yesterday, actually.
Which one?
Yeah, I was listening to Ben's.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Yeah, I like the Bones. I like the track Bones.
Oh, yeah.
I feel it in my bones. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great stuff.
Yeah. So how's the new one? You like it?
I got to tell you, I like it. I don't love it, but maybe someday I will. I generally love everything they do, but this one I was kind of underwhelmed with, but I'm still listening to it, getting into it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is embarrassing, but I listened to Drake, the
That's
rapper.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that embarrassing?
I don't know. For me, it's just embarrassing.
Okay. So what do you find appealing about Drake's music that makes you want to listen?
I think his producers are really good.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a really good flow, but I just think the producers are so tight. And I also like that song "Work" by Rihanna. Have you guys been listening to that at all?
I haven't heard that one. No.
Okay.
I've been listening to the new album of Jeff Beck.
Jeff Beck has a new album.
Yeah.
Does he? I didn't know that.
It's
cool.
Blows my mind.
Nice. Nice.
Cool. I've been listening to Sarah Schoenert's new album.
Yes.
Cool.
Which I love.
A little plug. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, Peter, is there anything else that you want to share with us and listeners about your music, about your process, about anything else before we ride out on another one of your new tracks, Wrapping Arms?
I want to say thank you to you both for having me on.
You're most welcome.
And I want to say thank you to Twitter for putting us all in touch.
Yeah, it really is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really amazing. I'm so happy to be in touch with you guys and everyone else on Twitter. Like, there are really some great people on there. It's been so, and I look forward to meeting more people and everything. But
and you are one of them.
Yeah,
you're one of the great people.
Yeah, you too. You guys too.
Thanks.
I mean,
thanks.
I'm sorry, I might go ramble a bit, but there's like a lot of dreck on the internet, and it's so nice to meet nice people like you and interesting people and talented people. So I want to thank you guys for having me on.
It's where we find people to talk to. And it is not just a place to proselytize. It's really a place to share and be genuinely interested with each other and have a little fun, little banter. And sometimes we go to the messages, to do our banter. But it's nice community. It's an interesting sense of community. Something that I certainly never would have imagined I would be doing in my life.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
too.
when you watch the old Star Trek episodes, right? And they press on a button on their shirt and they're talking with each other through space. You think, oh, that's never going to happen, right? And we're doing it. We're doing it right now,
Yeah.
Exactly. It's stunning. And yes, we very much enjoy the opportunity to meet you and learn about what you do and to help bring out, what you do to other people, to give some more detail. I think, it will make your music meaningful or more meaningful to other people to know a little bit more about you and what drives you and why you make the music and your background. And you were very generous with letting us know all of those things. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to this album. There were a couple tracks that reminded me of your older stuff, like the track Corners or Side Effect. Some of the vibe of the new tracks kind of fit there a little bit, but sonically it's taken a little bit different for the most part. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the rest of it.
Where's it going to be released, Peter? On Bandcamp, iTunes? How are you releasing it?
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is do an initial release on Bandcamp and let everybody know about that. And then maybe later on put it on iTunes and every place else,
And you're just going to have electronic downloads, right? You're not going to have a physical product? Okay.
That's correct, yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, we've really enjoyed talking to you, Peter, and we wish you all the best of luck with this new album. And are you going to be? You going to take it on the road at all? Do you think?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Even with an acoustic guitar or something like that, you know.
And if you do, you need to let us know, because we will come and we will come.
I know. We should all hang out sometime.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm really up for that.
You're the first other New Yorker we've had on Eclectrocast. So
oh my gosh. Okay, yeah.
My God, where have you been? Jesus Christ, where have you been?
We will.
We gotta hang out.
We will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Pete. Have a good night.
Sure.
So we've been speaking with Pete from CultureTrust, and again, Peter has a new album coming out probably the end of the summer sometime. It's called Spill. And we're going to ride out on the track called Wrapping Arms. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
I see the scratches on